Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's dive right on in. All right, good morning, everybody. We are in week 2. So grateful. As you know, this is the Madam Prezident Morning Show on flynubianqueen.com, flynubianmoney.com. I'm so grateful to be a part of such a positive movement as it relates to just Black folks doing their own media without permission, without anyone else saying that it's okay. You do not need permission to be who you want to be in this world, no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone tells you. If you want to do stories, you do stories, okay? So that's just number one. So glad to be here. Got a nice little lineup for us this morning. Bernice King, Sexyy Red, and of course, you know I wouldn't be me if I didn't hold corporations accountable for what they do to consumers on a consistent basis. But before we go any further, let me start off with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for another day. Thank you for allowing us to see sunlight. If it's bad weather, thank you for the bad weather that we have, dear God, because we know with you all things are possible. We're able to navigate and move through this world with your approval, with your say-so, with your grace and your mercy, which we know, which we are asking for your grace and your mercy to follow us, especially today. Cleanse our minds, cleanse our mind, cleanse our hearts. In your name we pray, amen. Every time I pray, I don't know about you all, but every time I pray, I make sure that I ask God to cleanse my heart. Do you understand that the heart is so exceptional? It is so important. And I know sometimes, the brothers, it could be sensitive for y'all, but the heart, once the heart gets hardened, once the heart don't want to move, then you start to lose a lot of yourself. And I just want to be factual when I say that. When the heart stops, you're dead. When the brain stops, you're dead. So whenever you're operating in this world and you're not using your brain and you're not using your heart, you have to ask yourself, am I dead? Am I dead or am I alive? So that's just number one. But I don't want to be before you all too long today. In general, I just would like to say this is something that really caught my attention as it relates to Bernice King and Sexyy Red. Those are two people that I would never thought that I would be putting in one category. But Dr. King's daughter, Bernice King, she saw that Sexyy Red shared a AI generated photo. You know how the club promoters do. Every year when it's Dr. King's birthday or the holiday for Dr. King, they start making club flyers, and Dr. King is in the club with a bottle of champagne. And, we're ridiculous for that, by the way. But because the reason I say that we're ridiculous for that, because if you had this false image of Jesus Christ, you would never do that to that image because of what you believe that image represents. And most of folks got that image of that white man with blonde hair and blue eyes, or brown hair and blue eyes, and your grandma got it laid up all around the house. You wouldn't dare put that image in the club with bottles and all of that as you have done Dr. King's image. So I think that we should show the creator's creations, the same care and consideration. I mean, we are extended, right? We are the extension of a higher power. That's number one. So let me show you the image that was going around, very popular and on the internet. And here it is right here. Wait, that's not it. Let me find the image for you. It is right It's so funny. I had this. Oh, here you go, right here. Share this tab. All right, here's the image right here. Let me know in the chat room. Can you let me know if you can see this image? Sexyy Red, simply. She basically, someone put her in the club of Dr. King, AI generated image, and she just tweeted it. I don't think she put a lot of thought into it. I think that when she saw the image, she said, oh, okay. And she just retweeted it to her followers and her following. And behind it, Bernice King, Dr. King's daughter, she saw it. And that's when the conversation came about. And I want to make sure you all can see this. Can you see this? I want to make sure that it's large enough for you. Let me know if you can see this in the chat. Type IC in the chat if you can see this. Okay, good. So, it's nothing derogatory as far as, she ain't dancing on Dr. King, but she's eye to eye, face to face, boobs on Dr. King. And let me just tell you, Bernice King said, now, wait a minute now, my daddy ain't got nothing. He ain't got nothing to do with this right here. So in the response, when Bernice King saw the image, Bernice King said, this is intentionally distasteful, dishonoring, deplorable, and disrespectful to my father, disrespectful to my family and my father, who is not here to respond himself because he was assassinated for working for your civil and human rights and to end war and poverty. Please delete. First of all, God, baby, when Dr. King's daughter steps into the room and say, take it down, I mean, what can you do? What can you do besides say, God damn, I'm sorry? So what I appreciate, and I don't have to buy Sexyy Red's album, but I can say, bow, 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 bow. Ooh, she held accountability. Sexyy Red responded to Bernice King. And let me share with you what Sexyy Red said in her response, okay? Here's what Sexyy Red said in response to Bernice King. She said right here, if you can see, let me know. I need you to say, I can see in the chat. I can see in the chat. But what Sexyy Red said, she said, you ain't wrong. Never meant to disrespect your family. My apologies. Just reposted something I saw that was innocent. Wow. That is remarkable, right? That's remarkable. That's healthy. When a grown person, when an elder, when an auntie, as they say, when an auntie step into the chat, when an auntie step into the room, we start to straighten up because that's how we supposed to do. So when she say that, hey, look, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't mean any disrespect to you and your family. Let me just tell you, I respect and appreciate Sexyy Red for respecting. She just respected the elder. She respected Bernice King and her wishes and her desires for her family. Now, I will say this. At first, I'm like, what is the, it's the internet. A lot of times images are, disrespectful or unprovoked. And I know she can't go around getting every image that is distasteful of her father. But I realized that this government took this woman's father out of this world. His image, his identity, his character is what she holds on to, as a daughter, as a legacy member of her family. So I'm just really glad that Sexyy Red was accountable. I'm really happy about that because a lot of times us young people, we have the tendency to, I said us young people, I really ain't in that category of like 26 and 27, but maybe I'm dreaming. But what I will say is when you feel offended, when you're challenged, typically what you will do is say, you will become defensive. You will become combative. You want to fight. So therefore, we give it up for Sexyy Red for just basically stating that, you know what, 100%, I was wrong and all good. Now, Bernice King did come back and say, you know, all good, no problem, young lady. And they squashed it out. And I just want to say that's how we should be every time with one another. We fall out with each other for no real good reason. And then we become distasteful to one another, don't like each other, being harmful to each other. We are forgiving to every form of supremacy except one another. So I value this sense of reconciliation, and I encourage everybody to go and reconcile with somebody. All right. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about how, don't forget, you watched and tuned into flynubianmoney.com, flynubianmoney.com. Don't forget to text the word Queens to 87948. Don't forget to text the word Queens to 87948. We want to give it up to all Black folks who are putting media in their own hands, okay? I just wanted to use my soundbite because I don't get a chance to too much. But I just want to say, you know, everybody who's doing their part and trying to have a footing in this world, I see you, I value you, I appreciate you. That's number one. And as we move on, we're just going to talk about how these corporations are nonstop. When corporations make mistakes, they are easily forgiven. You know, just kind of like the situation with Sexyy Red and Bernice King, you know, there's reconciliation. But what's the reconciliation between the civilians and the American people and these Fortune 500 companies that keep shooting us in the foot? I just want to tell you about this story right here. It really, really pissed me off. There were two stories, Capital One and as well as Honda. So let me just read to you. I'm going to share my screen with you again to share what's going on with Capital One and what they've done to some of their customers. And it's crazy. Check this out right here. Let me know if you can see the screen. Just say Capital One. Just type in Capital One in the chat room, y'all. Capital One, just to make sure we're on the same page. Type in Capital One, because this is really interesting. All right. I'm going to read this to you really quickly, because we have to be, the reason that we do this is so that we can be informed. You know, we don't want to be uninformed. We want to be informed. And that's what's important. So Maddie, she says Capital One. So it's on the screen and you can see it good. So let me say, all right. Do you have a Capital One savings account? You may be entitled to compensation due to the lawsuit. Allegedly, Capital One mismanaged its assets, which caused $2 billion in losses for consumers. Capital One was sued by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for allegedly misleading consumers about its offerings for high-interest savings accounts. As a result, customers lost more than $2 billion in potential interest payments, the lawsuit claims. All right. So in a complaint filed Tuesday, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau took aim at Capital One's promises and handlings of its 360 savings accounts, which were promoted as accounts providing one of the highest interest rates in the nation. But instead, the CFPB alleges Capital One froze its rate at a low level for at least several years, even as those rates rose nationally. I'm just going to tell you just like this. This is what I'm going to tell you. Capital One lied. All my Black people that go around say, oh, y'all can't support no Black business, because if I gotta get a Black business, and then in the Black business, you know, folks go around and say, you know, they didn't send me my stuff on time. And I ordered that one time and Keisha got an attitude with me at that Black business. I stopped doing Black business. When you gonna stop doing business with a lying corporation like Capital One? Capital One lied. Hey, Capital One said, hey, come over here. We got high interest savings accounts for you, and we're going to make sure you get the highest amount. And then come to find out, it lied. I'm just saying, we get this stigma that these companies have a high sense of moral altitude about them, and they do not. Now, here's the thing that's so unfortunate. If you're a person, you just like, you know what? I just put my money over there because, you know, it's a good account. They told me this. And once they told me that, I believed them. And years later, come to find out you lied. Come to find out you lied. All right. So my thing is, how do you resolve these matters? That $2 billion amongst its customers lost because they just lied. I don't even think it's a matter of error. It's just a matter of lying. It's just like, hey, go ahead. Let me get $1,000. I'm going to go ahead, flip that, turn that to nothing. The lies. Now, what bothers me is I got a Negro online telling me that I'm a supremacist because I read an article about high earners who are not rich yet that are called Henrys. I'm literally fighting my position about what I read about this article, talking about wealth to people, telling people that we have got to start wrapping our minds around it. And he went on and battled me and said that I'm not a financial expert, and I am not. But it really made me think, who's going to challenge Capital One? A person could easily tell me, oh, Madam President, shut up. You ain't got enough money. Okay. But who's going to challenge Capital One? Who's going to tell Capital One, you know what? You've been lying to your customers and they've lost over $2 billion. Who's going to bankrupt them? Why Negroes trying to bankrupt us? You know, so all that to say, these corporations, you know, they don't have the blueprint as they perceive to, as they lie. We already know there isn't a lot of consumer protection around here, which even more reason us as Black people, we should always be in communication and in the process of trying to figure out other avenues. I know a lot of Black folks have really high hopes for like, oh, I put my money in this bank and this right here, and it just, you get an ROI. And I don't give a damn about none of that. I have read so many stories historically, banks just deciding, yeah, we these folks ain't getting this money. and then that be that. You saw it in the market crash for the housing in 2008, I believe, what they did to the people. They gave them all these approvals for mortgages that they couldn't afford. They purposely played this game with these people. People lost their homes, their livelihood, while just a few good men at the top, all they got was a few months in prison, some frozen assets that they can get back to. They can get back to the yacht. All that to say, F you, Capital One. Okay, that's what I'm going to say there. And let's move on to. I want to move on to the Honda, what they have done to its consumers. All right. So I want to show you this right here. If you could see this, type in Honda in the chat. If you cannot, let me know. Type in Honda in the chat if you can see it. Type in Honda. I'm just going to show you this, read this to you really quickly. Okay, cool. I got my girl Maddie. She with me, baby. Maddie is on it. Maddie Jackson, where you from, Maddie? Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. All right, so here's what it says for Honda. Honda Finance ordered to pay $12.8 million in damages for reporting inaccurate information on 300,000 customers' credit report. You hear this? Do you have a Honda? All right. Use their financing. You may be entitled to compensation. In January 2025, America Honda Finance Corporation was ordered to pay $12.8 million to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for reporting errors. The errors occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic when Honda inaccurately reported 300,000 borrowers as delinquent In reality, the borrower's payments were paused. So let me just say this. Because sometimes you all are under the impression that because it's a bigger corporation and it's 300,000 people, that there should be no accountability. And I'm here to tell you that that is an absolute lie. You know why? They have to be accountable. These are people's reportings. How do you get credit? All of that different, all those different components, allow you to have a high credit score, low credit score. And here's what I know about credit. Let me keep saying I am no expert, but from my experience with credit, to go down is very easy. To get it high, to get it up, it requires a lot of hard work. So all that to say that 300,000 people, 300,000, a football stadium worth of people. You all made that many mistakes, but people ain't canceling you. People ain't challenging you. People ain't saying that, oh, you know what? We got a problem here. So my thing is, I want us to keep the same energy, okay? I want us to keep that same energy as it relates to these corporations. We cancel each other all the time. Oh, I'm done with him. I'm done with her. Be done with Honda. Be done with Capital One. And if you can't, then give your people around you the consistent grace. Take a note from Sexyy Red and be accountable. Take a note from Bernice King and hold people accountable. And understand that, you have rights. I don't care that it's Capital One. I don't care that it's Honda. They were caught in doing something wrong. They were caught in being lazy and reported inaccuracies that have an effect on people and their lives. And as they're trying to achieve in this country, I'm going to be sensitive about that. I'm not going to give them a pass because they want one. I'm not giving them a pass because they have billions of customers. And then guess what? And then I go into a Black-owned establishment and they're a little behind. They're a little bit outdated in their system. I don't give them a pass. No, I'm giving passes out to the people that need them the most. I'm giving passes out to the companies that need them the most. And I suggest that you do the same. Hold these companies accountable every chance you get. That's our time today. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm so proud of us. We are leading to week 2. I want you to know that it's not going to be me every day. I am in the process of getting guests on the show, and I'm going to make this a community that you all love. I'm going to make this a community that you all admire and care about. And Maddie, I'll see you at the conference this year. If the Lord see it fit, as my grandmother would say, I'm going to be there. The All Black National Convention is in August this year in Atlanta. And if you're not there, then you, in the words of Joe Biden, then you ain't Black, okay? I'm Madam President with a Z. You know we do this every morning where you will get real news, bold truth, and I am 100% politically incorrect. Bye-bye. Have a good day.